What up, everybody? January 14th, 2026. Welcome to the Newberg pod. This is going to be a solo, me talking about whatever I want to talk about episode. And today on the show, I got many topics. For starters, I think I'm slowly, and maybe you guys are doing this too, I don't know, morphing into like a grumpy old man. Like I find myself uh, it's like I'm transitioning into topical crazy word. I'm transforming into like this person with no patience and like and turd get off my lawn and I'm doing all of these fun things that are just making me realize that I don't know, is that my future? I think it is. Uh, I used to be so patient. Like patience is my thing. I still think I'm fairly patient, but man, it's disappearing. And I find myself like having conversations with strangers more so than most Michigan people do. Oh, Michigan, we're gonna talk about Michigan today. Most like Michigan people do, like where you're just like, hey, you're from Michigan? Yeah, what part? And then you sit down and you talk to them for like 400 days. I've been doing that with strangers. Yesterday I was at Bristol and I went over to Bristol. And this is what I went to Bristol. I'm sitting at home and I was like, gosh, you know what I could really go for? An apple. So I drove over to Bristol. I was like, I'm going to get an apple, and I got a cookie. They've got these cookies. They're these big chocolate chip cookies. Because in my brain, I still think like a fat dude. 197 today. I now weigh 197 from the original 238.5. I don't know how my shirt's fitting. I don't know how it's looking. I know my face is looking thinner, but down 40 plus pounds on fat guy meds. Appetite still not really there, still kind of there, still not really there, but nonetheless. So I go to get a cookie and an apple, because you get a cookie, you get an apple, and I go there and I'm in line, and all of a sudden this woman goes, this woman who's my age, slightly younger, slightly older, gray haired lady. She's like, she looks at me and she goes, "Is that the cookie?" And I turn around and go, "Yeah." Like what? Like first off, she knows it's the cookie, but that's her inroad. Like, is that the cookie? I'm like, yeah, that's the cookie. And she's like, I make these at home myself. I'm like, you're the creator of the cookie, the $4 cookie that's at Bristol Farms at Sunset and Fairfax. And she's like, no. She's like, I got the recipe because I don't know if you know this. They gave it out during COVID. And I was like, what? And now all of a sudden they gave this recipe to make these cookies out during COVID is the most interesting thing in my entire life until this punk kid in a skateboard cuts in front of us, and then my whole day was ruined. I'm like, in my brain, I'm like, did he cut? And this woman behind me was like, did he just go in front of us? Instead of being cool, just being like, yeah, go ahead, which I did because the kid was quick. I was just like mad about it for like 4 minutes. Like, son of a bitch. That's so dangerous. Did you see how fast he cut me off? He could have injured me. I could be injured. That's what I'm concerned about now. Like, it's like, I don't know. That's my thing. Speaking of Michigan and people who are talking earlier, well, anyways, like I guess there's more ways. That's another thing. I want to work on how I just on a topic for 2 seconds and then I go away. But I definitely think I'm becoming a grumpier old man because I find myself going, yeah, I don't want to do that so many times. And like I find myself watching old television shows, like I used to, and like I used to watch a movie and see something from some perspective, and then all of a sudden you look at the movie again from a different perspective. I used to have an old joke about how when I used to watch Ferris Bueller, I was like, "Yeah, Ferris, you got it. Escape, take the school off." And then I was just like, and then I watched it again as an adult, and I was like, "That kid is going to get so much trouble. He's going to get in so much trouble because I watched from like the Ed." Or the principal, wasn't it Ed Rooney? But then didn't he become a pedophile? Also, why is everyone a pedophile these days? Why is everyone a pedophile? And why is it okay that people are like, yeah, he's a pedophile? Timothy Busfield, that guy who's the actor, he's been on so many different things, so many different movies. The guy, he had red hair. He was on a huge TV show called 30 something. Gosh, I think, let me look. I bet he's been in a ton of different things. Timothy Busfield. And then that guy from Michigan, who, let's see, the guy from Michigan at the Ford plant who got in trouble. I don't know if you guys heard this. He was walking through the Ford. President Trump was walking through the Ford plant, and one of the guys goes, "Pedophile protector," And now he has a GoFundMe with over $350,000. That guy, his day, like, well, that's Michigan lottery. Going to work at the Ford plant, calling the leader of the free world a pedophile, and being rewarded from probably Michigan people for 350,000. This guy it'll be over 500K. It'll be over 500,000 probably by day's end. You remember how, like, a couple weeks ago, people are so generous. Like, why work? I think I get it. Like, I get like why people don't want to work, because it's like everybody has a GoFundMe. Mickey Rourke saying, I don't know anything about it. I bet you $1. You didn't hear anything about it after he said, I had nothing to do with it. He just didn't understand it because he's what? Grumpy old man. So this TJ, let's go back. So Timothy Busfield, he was on The West Wing, 30-something, which is a gigantic series in the late 80s, early 90s. Revenge of the Nerds, Field of Dreams, The West Wing, I said, Cleaning Lady. Just like this guy, he works a lot. He's married to the head of SAG, and he gets arrested for sexually abusing children. I've been a children all my life, especially when I was younger. And I got to tell you, I don't know what was hot about us. I don't get it. Like, I don't understand what the cool thing is. Like, is there a younger thing that happens in our country? Absolutely. Everybody, men like younger women, but there's a point. I don't know. And it's like, I don't know, it's a little boy. Gross. Anyways, the point is, people are like, oh, TJ Sabula, how did he get? Okay. So, like, he's like, who is he? He's a 40-year-old United UWA local 600 line worker, United Auto. I think it's UAW auto worker. And he shouts, he shouts out pedophile protector, and the president flips him off, because I think anybody would probably hate to be called that in any way whatsoever. It's actually, now it is over $500,000. Good for him. He's now been suspended, but he's like, I'm going to be fine. I don't have any regrets. And, like, a lot of people don't understand how this guy is the purest of Michigan. Like, this is the most probable Michigan thing you could possibly do. Pure Michigan. Like, he probably watches the Lions. He probably goes to the bar on Mondays. He probably does, he's a Red Wings fan. He probably listens to Drew and Mike or the Drew Lane pod, and he probably has a bitch bumper sticker on the back of his car. All of these different things. $500,000 for insult. Who wouldn't? I would insult anybody. I'd call anybody a pedophile protector. But doesn't a pedophile protector sound like something like a pedophile protector? Like, I don't know. It doesn't. Anyways, so yeah, it's crazy. So Timothy Busfield, he's bumming, and that guy's but had Timothy Busfield just protected other, I don't know. It's a stupid argument. It's a really stupid thing to go on. Comedy brain, everybody. Comedy brain. Where will I go next? But anyways, congratulations to TJ for losing your job, but getting $500,000. Nice work. I think that's cool. I mean, freedom of speech, right? And then, like, I don't know. I have no idea. This is just stuff that's in the news that I'm just talking about. Okay. So I wanted to talk about a couple of different things. Let's see. That's done. The aging thing. Like, I started watching this new television show called I Love LA. And I Love LA is a Gen Z show, or a Gen Z perspective on how they handle Los Angeles. And, I watched it. I was like, I watched the pilot, and it's about this girl who's broke, and she's pretending to not be broke, and she's struggling, and her and her boyfriend are together, and and her and her group of friends are all broke, and they're all trying to not be broke, but they're all fabulous and carrying expensive bags and different things. And then her really hot friend comes over from New York. One of the girls is named Maya, Maia, of course, and the other one is named Tallulah, because those are both common Gen Z names, I assume. And I'm not being old guy. I'm not being like grumpy, like, hey, young kids. But I am. Like, I'm both. I'm doing battle with myself. At 55, I'm doing battle with myself to think, am I grumpy old man, or am I still cool? But I shouldn't really understand what's happening with these Gen Z kids. I shouldn't, but I kind of want to understand it. So if ever I do a show and there's Gen Z people there, I want to kind of know the language, but also, do I care? I mean, don't I want to focus on myself? Why am I trying to, you know, adapt and understand when I'm just like, yeah, you get to a point where you're just like, fuck it, this is who I am, this is what I think. But you also don't want to be ignorant. So I watched the show and I'm like, all right, well, this show is getting a little steam. Let's check it out. And it's, the opening. No spoilers. It's just about this girl. Her friend moves in, and her friend's super hot, and she's going to be her manager. So two friends decide, and I watched the first episode. And I text my friends, who are all guys, who are on my text thread. I was like, "Is this normal? Is this a good show?" And they're like, "Oh, it feels derivative, and it's not really for me." And so I watched it in 2 episodes. Funny, a lot of inside LA stuff, but too old for me. But from the perspective, I guess everything when you are young is always the same. We're all broke. You're all good looking. We're all trying to succeed. We're all doing our best. I mean, isn't that what it's all about? I assume so. I have no idea. Then we get older and we're like either bitter or happy with what we've become or the choices that we've made and the things that we've said. Who knows? It's hard to say. But I guess I get it. And it also makes me think, I don't know, but it also looked like it was a television show that was written and shot by an iPhone. So I don't know. I love LA. If you're a young person, I think you'd like it. It's probably really funny. There's definitely a lot of LA stuff in there and things that I see every day and things that I do enjoy about Los Angeles, but there's also a lot of strange stuff, which brings me to today's topic. The Counting Crows documentary, Have You Seen Me Lately? That's what I want to talk about. Excuse me. Oh my God, that was terrible. That's the medicine. I can't help it. So the Counting Crows documentary comes out. And for me, the Counting Crows, my introduction to them was very probably similar to most people. Like you go back in time and they had these Borders music listening stations. There was this gigantic Borders on Woodward Avenue in downtown Birmingham off South Old Woodward. And they had these listening stations for people who don't know what they are, for young people, because you know me and all the Gen Z people who listen to my pod after I've just talked about get off my lawn and hey, I'm grumpy and that skateboard isn't safe. I'm sure I have my young people audience is huge. I went to Borders as a 22, 23-year-old kid in 1993, and I was listening to, I saw this new album, Counting Crows. It was a yellow record and it was writing all over it, and I put on the listening station and I see that it's playing and there's like 13 to 15 seconds of silence. I don't remember. And I'm like, does it work? And I'm thin and I keep cranking the volume and all of a sudden the B3 comes in. It's like, and then all of a sudden the opening lyrics, step out the front door like a ghost into a fog where no one notices the contrast of white on white. In between the moon and you, the angels get a better view of the crumbling difference between wrong and right. I'm like, sold. I'd never heard lyrics like that. I'd never heard anything so interesting to my 23-year-old ears. And I was like, I bought it. That record was so important to me. It was the first record that was important to me outside of The Cure. It was the first record that mattered to me in my life outside of like, synth, guitar, pop. And oh my gosh, it was like after Nirvana and it meant something to me. Like, I mean, like when Pearl Jam came out and exploded, I didn't get it right away. I was like, I mean, like, what's not to get? It's really good music. They're a great band. They play awesome. But I was so young and like competitive, like me versus everybody. And how are they big? And all these dumb questions that you ask yourself when you're not efficient or insignificant or whatever word is correct. But when you're not enough, insufficient. God, that was tough to get to. And I was like, okay. And I listened to it and it was just important to me. And it cracked open all these different writing vibes. And it started making me like want to write better lyrics and read more books and do cooler things that way. So it's what I did. And then, the second record came out years later and I loved the second record and I thought it was great. And I didn't really understand it as well as I thought I would years later. I didn't at the time think, well, I'll understand this later. But you always listen to things differently, whatever perspective you're looking at. If you listen to something at 22, which is the same thing about the movies, you listen to something at 23 or 22, you're going to listen to it at 52, and you're either going to remember how you felt at 22, or you're going to look at it from a different perspective, and maybe it's going to mean something different. I don't know. But it was really important So then I watched the Counting Crows documentary that's on HBO Max. It's called "Have You Seen Me Lately?" and it discusses the history of the band for the first two records, and Adam living in Los Angeles and all of these different things. And I'm literally thinking to myself, because I'd forgotten, these guys weren't that big of a deal. They hadn't meant that much to me. And then I watched it and I was like, holy shit. I had dreadlocks in 1993 because of this guy. I have a picture of me with dreadlocks. I will find it. I hopefully will post it on the top of this episode. But I was a white dude with dreads. I went to a hair salon and I said, "Can you give me dreads?" And they gave me dreads because I had really long hair. And they fracketed, they ratted. I remember she would like wrap my hair up and crump it up. She put tar at the bottom. It wasn't like natural dreads, but it was pretty nasty. And I had dreads. So I was a white dude with dreads. But then to be different, I dyed them pink. Ooh, that's crazy. What was the solution? Shaving them off, keeping my job. But I had them. But I loved them. But the watching this documentary of like how these guys partied and how they hung out and all of these different places that were all instrumental in me wanting to come out here. Like they were hanging out at the Viper Room. Like the Viper Room was like a mecca for me coming out here back in the day. And, and I've been lucky enough to play there. I sold out Viper Room. I've been lucky enough to be on tour and open for people. It's been a great experience, but like watching them, I just realized like how important music is. It's just so important in our history and in our memory and in all of the different things that we do. It's just, I love it. So I loved it. So I want you to know the new Counting Crows doc is also fantastic. It's very, very, very good. Well worth watching if you're a Counting Crows fan. And also, God, was I a poser. I wear bucket hats. I had dreadlocks. Oh, dear God. And what do you do? Okay. I love LA. I started also listening to the new Lemonheads book, Rumors of My Demise, which was recommended me by my brother in music, Steve Taylor. And I'm on chapter 6, I think, so far. I'm going to listen to more as I upload this. But Evan Dando was also a huge influencer of mine right around the time. Like, I know a place where I can go. I don't know why I just sang the harmony. But I just loved them. I loved It's a Shame About Ray, all of the different things. And I'm listening to this book, and he talks about how he's a heroin addict as the book starts. I mean, I don't know how it ends. He obviously finishes the book. Maybe he still is. Maybe he did the book so he could get more money for heroin. Maybe he should have just said pedophile protector and gotten $300,000 and $500,000 and then not have to worry about getting a book and doing all the reading for the book. But it is interesting listening to Evan. I think it would be weird doing a book about your life, sitting there writing it. Like you write it and then you're reading it, because reading is an entirely different muscle. Have you ever read something out loud for more than 2 pages? It gets crazy. It's hard. It's challenging. Like reading whenever you're reading a book, you're not reading it out loud. You're just reading it in your brain. You're scanning it and you're like, oh, blah, 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 blah. But then when you're like, hey, everybody, I'm going to read this thing out loud, you recognize that the muscles that go along with it are strange. So how do you get the inflection that you need to talk about your story when you're just reading these things that you just finished living in your brain well enough to put down on paper that you're like, yeah, that's it. Here we go. So he said that he lost his wallet, and he lives on Martha's Vineyard now, apparently, according to this first couple parts of the book. And he lives on Martha's Vineyard, and he lost his wallet, and he said that someone at the CVS found it. And I would imagine if you're a famous person on a small island, and someone finds your wallet, they're going to reach out to you. So he said they reached out to him on Twitter and said, hey, buddy, we got your wallet. So he went in, he brought his guitar, and he played some songs for the people there. And then they were like, could you sign these Lemonheads boxes? And he said, I had to smile. I'll begrudgingly sign a Lemonheads box. Why do people not celebrate who they are, what they've done, what they experienced, what they accomplished? Why does everybody no one is constantly evolving in a positive, creative way to where people are listening? What person? Maybe Paul McCartney. Okay, maybe like Lady Gaga. Maybe like, I don't know, Lizzo. Maybe like Sabrina, the Teenage Witch. I don't know, maybe ABBA. Maybe like Harry Styles. Maybe TJ Sabula. Who knows? It's like everybody's trying to evolve, but the fact that, our life is full of highs and lows and these incredible ups and downs and things that all just shape us for who we are. And it's like we can't hang on to the good ones. It can't be constantly good. And it's like I remember seeing the Lemonheads at the State Theater, which is now called the Forbes or the Fillmore. The Forbes family owned the State Theater. Now it's called the Fillmore. And I saw him there. They crushed. They were such a big deal. And he was this kid. This guy was so good looking and so effortless. And he had such clever pun lyrics and a lot of songs he wrote, a lot of songs he didn't write. Either way, it's enjoyable. But he was in the Lemonheads. That was your band. Sign a Lemonheads box. There was a MTV Behind the Music on Warrant. And when I first moved here to LA, it was 2003. There's the burp again, 2003. And I would hang out all the time at this place called the Key Club, which is where this band Metal School would play. And Metal School until eventually became Steel Panther, but they would play there constantly. And this is when Rock of Ages came out. So it was like kind of a, evolution and you could go see the play Rock of Ages. And oh God, what was his name? Chris Hartwick was the singer. He was the lead, and it was good. And the guy in the Dan band was in it too. And it was good. It was a really good experience. So there were all these rockers that would always hang out at Metal School. And at the time I was there, and I think I was with God, I don't even know who I was with, but I had a conversation with Jamie Lane of Warrant, and we were talking outside, probably because of the person I was with. Oh, I was with Dane at the time. And Janie was talking about, he was like all red faced and he was talking about how he hated cherry pie and how he hated that's all he was reduced to. And I remember watching it on the MTV or not MTV, VH1's Behind the Music, how he hated the fact that he was associated in any capacity with cherry pies. Like they used to have cherry pie contests. And I guess we all go from who we are to contests about what we were. Going from who we are to contests about what we were. I don't know. And I just don't, if I wrote this song Cherry Pie, I'd be like, yeah, I wrote it. If I was in a band called Lemonheads and someone said, will you sign this Lemonheads thing? Yeah, I would. People come up to me still and they're like, dude, you really kicked Pierce Morgan's ass. Not because it's topical, but because this is the first chance they've had an opportunity to say that to me since they've probably seen it. And I assure you, there's a lot of things they probably haven't seen me do. We all go through these incredible highs and lows, as I said. But a lot of the times it's like, I don't know. I think the lows are kind of the best part because the highs, it's like boring. Like there's so much content and so many people shouting at you about all of the great things that they're doing. Everybody is just shouting, look what I'm doing. This is what I've accomplished. By the way, look at that. The new Chris Army thing. Thanks, Dan Coker. The Newberg logo. Thanks, Dan Coker. You're the man. Album. Thanks, Frame Shop. Album. Thanks, Framework. I don't know, whatever. Anyways, but thank you to Michelle's dad for putting that up on my thing because I don't know how to post them. I don't know how to put a picture up. I don't. Can I create a picture? Yeah, we all have our strengths. Maybe you should stop judging me. Maybe you should be about TJ Sabula. Maybe that's what it's all about. Who knows? But yeah, that's that topic. Counting Crows documentary. I say watch it. I say it's pretty good. Lemonheads book so far, really, really good. Let's see. Keifer Sutherland is in the news. Keifer Sutherland is in the news. Man, he allegedly beat up a Uber driver. I will say this about Keifer, and I say, people are like, oh, you're friends with Keifer? No. But I have had, since when I first moved here, I had 2 of the most drunken nights of my life hanging out with that guy because he could drink. He would show up. He would be at a restaurant or somewhere, and he would be sharply dressed. He'd have a driver. He would just get drunk, and he would have good conversations with people and that he would never talk to again. He liked drinking with strangers. Great book by Butch Walker. Side note, Drinking with Strangers in the Event That You Wonder. But Keifer got angry. He was an angry dude. So I bet he drank a bunch and he beat up this driver. I say that only because I've seen it. And that's what it is. All right, everybody. So now I'm going to talk about all the trending topics in the world. Then I'm going to do some jokes. Then I'm going to go for my walk. But I wanted to talk to y'all because if I don't pop this brain pimple and get all this mind madness out of my head, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I got to do it. So I did it. If you like the show, listen to Newberg Pod. Listen. If you like the show, listen to the. If you like the show, please subscribe, like it, follow us on YouTube at Newberg Pod. Give it a like, give it a thumbs up, give us a follow. Otherwise, it's wherever you stream, and that's phenomenal as well. I don't know. Oh yeah, what else? I'm doing Comics Unleashed next Tuesday. I've got some jokes. Here's the first one I'm thinking about doing. I'm engaged. Hey Chris, how are you? Well, I'm engaged now. Well, it's great. The only thing I miss about being single is my opinion. Am I right? Ba-ba-ba-bam. And then I'm like, we love so much. We love each other so much. We got nicknames. I call it my first wife. She calls me Plan B, which is an old David Lemon joke. David Lemon is a comedian who died. And I'm doing tribute to him on this show. David Lemon of the Lemonheads. What? Am I making that up? Who knows? We decide everything together, like where to eat. Last night I was able to pick where we just had dinner. Am I right? Oh, she taught me how to master the triple A's of romantic success. Apologize first, agree, and admit stuff. We played a fun game. Oh, that's I will say on a true level, a really fun thing happened on New Year's Eve. So Michelle Dion, my partner in crime, life, and love. This isn't going to surprise anybody. She takes a little longer than I do to get ready. She does. She takes a little longer. Sometimes for special events, it's an event. It's an event. It takes time. And we were going to do a chill night for New Year's. We were going to sit and watch TV and make dinner and hang out. But we were both going to get dressed up. So I was like, all right, let's go get ready. I go get ready around 7 o'clock. It takes me about 10 minutes to get ready, about 3-minute shower. I grab the same clothes I usually wear, a brand new shirt. I just usually wear the same pair of jeans because I love them and because they're comfortable. Nothing more comfortable than a pair of jeans worn like 10 times. Like, just comfortable, It is. And so then all of a sudden I'm ready. The next thing I know, it's 10:30, 10:38. And she comes out. She looks phenomenal. She looks spectacular. But I'm a grumpy old man now, y'all. I'm a grumpy old man. So instead of saying first, you look amazing, I say, you think maybe we get started a little earlier next time? Let me just tell you, it didn't go over as well as I thought it was. Because in my mind, I thought she would just go, yeah, you're right. Okay, yeah. No. I'm dead now. Like, it was not a good idea. Oh, what a bad decision on my behalf. So think it through, everybody. Think it through. Let your lady know how lovely she looks all the time. Here are the trending topics on today's ep. Also, I don't even know if that's the stuff I'm going to do on the show. It could be totally different. Here we go. Ludacris MAGA tour is in the news. Let's see what that is. Oh, Rock the Country. Kid Rock, Jason Aldean, Blake. No, I don't care. Let's see what else is in the news. The creator of Dilbert dies. This is sad. I've seen the cartoon. I've never read it. So sorry. Drewski, the comedian, did a skit about church, and he criticized them, and he's getting in trouble. Doesn't everybody get in trouble every time they criticize religion? Cutter base evacuation. Well, I'm glad I am not there anymore because I was there, and apparently there's going to be some tensions. Bridgerton promised ICE Olympic tickets. Supreme Court, J. Cole, Euphoria Season 3 trailer. I'm going to watch that. All right, let's look at a couple of jokes, and then let's go and get out of here. Let's see. Love's a lot like putt-putt golf. Sure. It's hard to get your balls in the clown's mouth, but when you do, nice. Doesn't Minnesota Ice sound like the world's worst beer in Minneapolis? Yes. Bill Maher makes TV for people who only have channels 2, 4, and 7. Also, Nikki Glaser was great on the Golden Globes. She was great. Let's see. What do you guys think the best New York pizza is? I think it's probably Little Caesars. And basically, I like to think of myself as like the Chuck E. Cheese Cyrano de Bergerac. Yeah, that's it. Counting Crows are like Nickelback with dreads. I don't know what that means. I had to wrote it. Let's see. When someone says, "You want to know what this person says about you?" The answer: no, thank you. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to my brain. I don't even know what we accomplished from this episode. I don't know what we accomplished from this episode, but I do know that I enjoy it. Newberg Pod, Hannah, get some fucking sleep, girl. Wake up. Hope to see you next time. Let's go. Let's have a day.